Good morning. Man, this has been a boring rally, huh? What rally? Dan and I were talking this morning. The Qs are down since the beginning of the rally. Anyway, that link that I posted, we had discussion yesterday in the green room about breakout failures and defining them. That's a breakout failure. One of my comments was, it comes from a consolidation. The most powerful ones are in a downtrend. Of course, trend is your friend, so on and so forth. But um, it's clean, it's obvious. It clearly says, it's a start to go up. I'm going to put them up, Dan. I posted a link so they could see what it is. I'm going to put up the charts. Dan's excited to get started here. We need our charts like drugs. Good morning. All right. So, just looking through things I usually do every morning. And, I actually pointed this out, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, where there was the breakout. It was a nice little consolidation. Look at the retest and reversal. There was a wide range bar. It takes out the highs, bullish price action, sideways in a downtrend after the move up. And then it breaks out. Of course, you've got the next resistance here. So as we would cover breakouts, we'd pick something that has a price void. One of the comments yesterday was when we say this in every MT Live, pretty much, one concept or idea isn't a trading strategy or a plan. So there was no void here, but clearly that's a breakout. And then it forms sort of a 1, 2, 3, and then it breaks down. It closes below the breakout bar's low. All right, so that's a breakout bar failure. Good morning, Brown, Frenchie, everybody. So now look, the markets are freaking dead. And nothing's happening. There's a little bit of selling yesterday, but in the context of, the daily charts and so on, nothing is happening. I'll take a look, Tim. So there is an attempt to go up, a little more bearish price action there in Ethereum. It got rejected yesterday. Just whenever trading inside here, really not doing anything. So, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens as we get into the new year. Bitcoin just marking time, not doing anything. I guess the big news yesterday was the nasty drop in gold and silver. And we have a big drop, right? 45 over 4,500 down, 3,000 points. Ooh, that's a big drop there, point wise. And it happened here. And so now, as I look at this, it's interesting. I'm going to be interested to see how this unfolds, right? Clearly, it's in an uptrend. And I would say that this drop was more deserving because it started here. This was the beginning of a move. And you can see here on the weekly chart, the breakout out of a consolidation. No failure there. It went sideways, and it just kept going higher. Right? So bullish price action, a breakout that works. Now, this is not a breakout. This is an advanced bar by bar, and it takes out the prior pivot high, which we call a greater than 100% retracement. And one of our guidelines, it's not a trading strategy, is that after a greater than 100% retracement, it's likely that we will see a stall in momentum. And that immediately happened. And you might say, well, it kept going up. Well, yeah, it did, but the bars decreased in range. That doesn't change the trend. And neither does one bearish wide range bar. And so I would say this was more deserving because it had gotten extended. It was going up for 2.5, 3 months, what have you. And here, this comes from, this bottoming action, which we talked about months ago, and this one, that those were buy setups. And now this big, nasty wide range bar, which clearly creates a lot of uncertainty about this trend continuing. So the trend is the primary influencer here and anything you're looking at. So when I look at a bearish wide range bar, I can't ignore it. It's there. It was powerful. It was big. It gave back a large amount of points versus it took 2+ weeks to get up there, give or take. And now it came back. It stalled its support. So we need to just sit back and watch and see what this does now. And this is a bearish bar in a very bullish trend. And now I can even see the weekly time frame stalled in momentum. And say, well, how do I define that without my latest greatest indicator? Well, that was tremendous momentum, and that type of momentum supports a bias that it's going to go higher. Now, this one made a new high, but just a marginal new high. That's your, okay, greater than 100% retracement. And it's, I would say, I'm saying this as if it's a fact, but, as traders, we know anything's possible. But what I was going to say was, in no way is this going to recover by the end of this month, right? Tomorrow, recover this down move. And that leads me to believe that this is going to go through some kind of correction, which based on this trend could be just chopping around sideways, for a while, and we'll see what happens. Well, if you're long a trend like this, Robert, it doesn't matter whether it's gold, and you're along this for wherever it was, yes, selling covered calls is the way to go, because now we believe that this is going to correct. The covered calls is really the no-brainer to say, and you have to look, is there premium up at whatever? So yesterday it would have been a lot more, but if you said, hey, at 4,600, is there premium up there? I don't think it's going to go there, or, up here, somewhere up above that high, with any type of option strategy, it's like, what's the strike? What's the time to expiration? But yeah, selling a covered call would be definitely what to do in a situation like this. And so whether it's gold or silver or Apple Computer, something that gets extended and you get a nasty drop like that, it creates a belief that this is going to correct. And so if you'd have done that here, and you have to believe that, why shouldn't I just take my money? Because I believe for whatever reason, it's going to go higher. And so every trade is just based on, I believe something based on whatever criteria it is that I'm using. So silver, so look at that. I mean, this is retraced. The day's not over, but it's retraced. I'm eyeballing this. Let's say 50% of yesterday's drop. That's pretty bullish, encouraging. But this still suggests to me that it'll go sideways, I think. And then we're just going to see what happens. But with a bar like that, you would look, every pattern reflects what traders are doing, what they're thinking. And so when we see a reversal like that, what we do know is it's a bit of a shock. And traders would be thinking, I was thinking, man, if this would pull back to $65 where this congestion is, I'm going to be all over that to be a buyer. And now you see a bar like that, and it's like, I'm not so anxious because now I don't know what this thing's going to do. And so this is how the concept, in part, I created this concept called bar by bar analysis. And I did that because, first of all, being relatively new to trading, this was a long time ago, and it's like, okay, here's these patterns, and I understand the trend and so on. And it's like, oh my God, there's a red bar. And it's like, oh, should I sell? Maybe I should take my money or whatever. All these thoughts. Well, can you wait for one more bar? And so as you put together bar by bar, and this was a major concept in the new course that I created this year, bar by bar for swing and intraday trading. I've talked about bar by bar for a very long time, but a lot of examples of it is that bar by bar builds on itself to create groupings of bars. And so with groupings of bars, now you start looking at trends, and your thought process evolves with what's happening. And so when back here, prices move up and I see a pivot. Pivot is one concept. It's not a trading strategy. And I see another pivot and a retest, and it's above the 50. And that starts to create thoughts about, I think this is going to hold this area of support. So what do I do with that? I got to try and make money. So I buy. And now it's at resistance. Do I take part of my money? Maybe sell half because I think it's still going to go up, even in a situation like this. So, this is so bullish. The premium in the calls at $60 are ridiculous. Well, what's the time to expiration? So this is how the whole thought process goes. So selling covered calls on silver, you might have SLV, or if you had the futures, yeah, that's it's a reasonable thought and action. And so let's go to the boring markets. YM, everything's pretty much boring. So that was a down day yesterday. Um, correction. It holds at support. And again, this is the overnight trading. So this move bar right here, this reversal was support, and you got this bar right here. I don't put a lot of weight on overnight trading because it's low volume, but obviously futures traders are going to look at that. So now we've got this down move, and think about the thought process here. This isn't an uptrend. It was not really a 1, 2, 3. It's a 1 and a 2, but it's close to resistance. But it did in this 2 day was a consolidation day, and I thought over the weekend, and I wrote this in the weekend letter or in the video that I did was, hey, with this pattern, I think this should make new all-time highs. Is that an uptrend? Up bar, bottoming tail bar. If it takes out the highs, didn't take out the highs, it went down, and so now it holds its support. And this down bar, multiple down bars in a smaller time frame is a larger bar in a higher time frame, and it's not bouncing. And that leads me to think it could go lower, but it's got a trigger by starting to drop. But if it takes out the highs, Christmas rally is Santa rally, is it really going to happen? Um, Maybe it goes right back up again. That's possible in an uptrend. So the cues, since the Christmas rally started, which Jan and I were talking this morning, this is actually down because it starts on the 24th, right? The last 5 days of the year, trading days of the year, and then the beginning of the new year. So it's not over. We'll see what happens. Right now, it's pulled back toward those moving averages. It's on support. Nothing's happening this morning. Let's look at ES. Nothing's happening this morning. It's just consolidating there. And it's at resistance. It made sense that there'd be some selling, several bars up into a pivot high. Yeah, it's a little doji bar. Every candlestick novice that read a candlestick book or a website knows that that's little slowing momentum candle at resistance says it might pull back. So right now, it pulled back one day. Big deal. The Russell has been weaker, and it's not bouncing either. It's not doing anything. There's the wide range bar, the pink bar right there, doing nothing. And so yesterday's discussion in the room was that it would likely come down here. We were talking about IWM. And so I'll go here. And the thinking was it should come down here. But the other part of the discussion was all of the put options that were being bought, they were out of the money. And so it was right there. And well, what happened? Well, it wind up having a little counter trend rally there. And down here, we were thinking that it could go down. And no, it just stayed within the trading range and did a lot of nothing. So again, so far, market has been a lot of nothing. Oil, that's not doing anything, just consolidating. So nothing much happening there. Bonds, interest rates. Let's look at the 10-year. It's not doing anything. Like everybody went away for, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year, and we'll see what happens. I mean, we're going to see what happens when everybody comes back. You got this big topping pattern. There's the 10-year bond prices. It's near this pivot. What is it going to do? Oh, waiting. We don't have a pattern here, an action pattern, so to speak. There's nothing to do. There's SPX. No numbers got hit yesterday. Nothing moved. This one didn't move from yesterday. This one came up. I think it went down a little bit, a little bit. So this, maybe we're going to get another little more downside, but I don't think it's going to go up there today, and I don't think it's going to go down there today. And that's a far distance from there. And you got an unfilled gap. You got a rising 20 MA. So if it drops near some support, which could be this bar's low, these overlapping bars right here, you can see right there, that little congestion area. That would be your targeted area. And but I would assume, right, 6,900 is being defended, as you can see here. So if it breaks that, that would open the door to pulling back there. But the whole number is usually where there's going to be a larger open interest, and traders are going to wait to see if it violates that. So not much happening here. We'll see what happens. All yours, Dan. Dan will look at Hood, Tim.
Good morning. Yes, been slow. So we actually put on a couple new swings yesterday, even though it's not doing much. So I agree that Wall Street is on vacation right now. I was just working on a trade review on this for our weekly trade review. And look at this, there's 3 breakouts on this. Pro gap, 2-week consolidation, closing breakout, measured move higher. And we were in this. We traded this. But I think we got out on this one, unfortunately. Deep retracement, sideways 5 bars. It's another swing trade. The target here was not nearly as much as the target here for obvious reasons. But it was still, we booked 10, 11 points on it. Nice trade. Good. Brownie. It is on my list. I have an alarm at 116.50. I mentioned this yesterday, actually, in here, pre-market. It's kind of a bear flag. Here's your flag pole. There's kind of your counter trend trading range. And if it breaks down, then yeah, that's right. 110, 105. But I actually see Bitcoin rallying a little bit here. And I always look at coin and Mister when I look at these. Coin looks like a short. That was on my list too, to give a call spread in the weekend letter. And there's just no premium. The VIX so low and spreads being bad. It's been tougher finding credit spread ideas. And Mr. Look, this is relative weakness to Bitcoin. This looks like a day trade short to me. Let's put it right here in the middle chart. And then I watch WIGME also. That's the ETF. And that was the sell setup right there.
That has a leveraged one, Dan. For day
WIGME?
trading. Mister, there's a leveraged one.
Oh, yeah. What's it called?
I get you the symbol. Open up Ninja and the others.
But it actually got his head chopped off so much. We actually don't need a leveraged one as much as we used to at $300. It's 50% haircut. And, I forget what symbol, Greg, you were talking about consolidation and a downtrend. It looks lower, unable to rally. This is exhibit B. This is identical. Well, I forget what pattern you were talking about, but this is identical concept. It tried to hold right here. We actually had it as a long over the high of this bar, just for a bounce. Didn't trigger. And now with yesterday's little tail that took out 2 or 3 bars highs and closed weak, that is a great day trade short. So, Brownie, thanks for making me look at Hood. My analysis led me to Mister. I'm gonna set alarm at 156. And the bottom, I must see that. Defiance. Yeah, 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 and it's tight. So yeah, I'd rather short a $4 leverage stop, sure. Because it's tight. And that's that's massively leveraged. From 150 down to 4. Wow. MSTX. So yeah, I'll actually put MSTX here. Bottom right, eBay we're in. Bottoming pattern. That's a beautiful example of a bottoming pattern. It had a gap down and started rallying yesterday morning. We bought the 30-minute high. And we're still in it. We got a full lot. Looks great. IP, I just had an alarm go off. If it is opening there, it's good to go. I'll put that on the window. And you can wait, I don't know, 2 minutes or just if it does gap over here. That's good to go. Circle, alarm. Here's another one. Here's another one. It's a potential bottoming pattern that's showing bearish price action. You had this little breakout failure. And look, it's rolling yesterday, minor topping tail. My alarm went off, so I will reset it. I'll reset it at $80. That's where my alarm was. So that could be a very nice day trade also. This one, because of this power move and doing this and this, I'd prefer a 30-minute low. Just to give me more time and confidence that it can't bounce. Amen alarm. This Alex mentioned this, and I said, you know what? Set up and down alarms. Because I could build a case that this can go either way. So my up alarm went off there at 264.50. I will just reset. Oh no, it didn't. Oh, I also wanted to say, I know you gave a good description of silver and the psychology and covered calls and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to say, I didn't expect it to retrace this much either. I was saying, be careful bottom fishing because that's a nasty gap. But just to add to the story, we talked about it yesterday. But I said, hey, could it be a red bar ignored like PALL did right here, red bar and this? I said, of course it can. Of course it can. Why not? I said I didn't think it would. And this is just another metal palladium ETF. And we let's see, we're still in GDX. I moved the stop under this consolidation here. And gold. I moved the stop. So we're hanging in there. So good thing they're gapping up. Those are all my alarms. Mr. Alarm just went off. This might be a 5-minute low. Short. Let's just look at things of interest here in the remaining 2 minutes. And this looks like a pump and dump. Some tricks. But now it's gapping up to 290. Could it be the start of a bottom? Possible. It kind of looks like a manipulated toy. Now look at hack, the ETF sell setup breakdown. So this is also showing relative weakness. So I looked at cyber and PNW, two big ones, and both of them, these are potential bottoms, and they're also potential bearish price action to make another dive lower. But we should scan the entire cybersecurity sector. I know there's less than 10 of them really. All right, Hasbro, yesterday's high. Not a huge target, but looks like it'll go to 84. So IP I like. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of eBay. We already have alarms on that. IP here. So my favorite is IP long. Here, this missed MSTX. Dude, short 5-minute low. MSTX, I like it. Let me see how liquid it is on the level 1. Gosh, I gotta pull up my train station. Alex Neo alarm. And you were talking about NIO, but I just had an NEO alarm go off. All right, shoot, I'm trying to open up my system. But MSTX looks great if it's liquid. MSTR looks great. You heard me say 5 times. It looks like a fantastic day trade short. I just hate chasing. Look, it's already fallen $2 on that. MSTX. All right, my system's up. Let me check level 1 on this. MSTX. Yeah, it's liquid, 4x401. All right, now it's bouncing good, so I don't have to chase. Shit, they won't let me short it. I just tried. I mean, there are I don't like when TAS does this. They send me an alarm and it goes away too fast. I can't read it. But okay, I just found it in the notes section. Wow, there's not sufficient shares available at Schwab. Wow. You can buy and the $4 and the puts for next week are ridiculous. So shoot. Yeah, but they're different brokers. So all right, so we'll give it a few minutes and then we'll look at Mr. Uh, it could be the home run entry here. You know, you didn't, it should not have retraced that deep, but it could be making the turn here. I gotta memorize these four quantum computing stuffs. Hold on. I gotta write it down. Yeah, I do. Here, I got it written down. Rig team looks horrible. QUBT looks horrible. And the IONQ looks horrible. So you got the best looking one of the four. All right, CNC up alarm. We are long this. Delta 20. All right. CNC, let me get some stuff break even. And hold on, guys. I see your questions. Hold on. He said Intel long CNC 4055. Type the date today, 12:30, and then it jumps out at you. Man, tomorrow's New Year's Eve. Intel long Delta 20 is asking? Nay, I don't. Well, it's not, you don't have a good void here. I mean, it was a nice 15-minute pre-market buy setup. But you just don't have a good void. I think we can find, oh, my IP, I forgot about. Okay, IP, okay, so it did not gap up. So good. It'll be a clean entry for the hits. Let me reset the alarm. So IP is still good to go over those 2 bars highs. Over 39.91.
Those using social media, it's helpful if you say whether you think it's a swing or an intraday because you're going to get a different answer potentially.
Yeah, definitely. But I try to answer both regardless. All right, NTs, Tim. Yeah, that's an igniting gap. So when you have an igniting gap, if it's big, you have to ask yourself, what's my target and do I have a logical stop? So your stop to start at a minimum is under 139. So does the target justify that? And maybe in a bullish weekly. So you could do a third lot and look to add maybe on a pullback into the gap. Yeah, there was some news on Baidu I saw also. Yeah. Oh, Baidu, it looks like they might have known the news ahead of time. It's kind of a inverse head and shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, head. But I'll watch NTs. Yeah, it looks good. NTRS, you're saying a large gap? I don't see a large gap on NTRS. So, let's see. I have an alarm on that, by the way. Wow, the diamonds and Qs, they opened up the day with a little kerplunk on the 5-minute chart.
Amazon might be setting up.
It's in the
It opened lower, but if it takes out those highs, that's a long.
It's in the letter. It's in the letter. So is Microsoft. Yeah,
Dan, explain why you put international paper in the letter. I didn't get that.
it's a. It's what are you talking about? You got two little 1, 2, 3s in a row, bottoming pattern with a huge board.
It's right against a declining 50 MA.
So what? Who cares? Who
Ready
cares?
to remove it from the chart.
As a void. Look at the weekly. It's a bottoming pattern. I know, that's how I got it from you, and I liked it too. Oh, I mean, if it's not obvious to you, read what I typed. Breakdown of a bottoming pattern at the 2050. And I should put in there, comma, bullish weekly. I am hey, hood alarm you asked me about. Hood alarm. I always have early alarms. 116.50 just went on. It's not a great swing yet because it's in the bottom end of this. So I like it more for a call spread, but there's no juice. Let me look again if there's anything at 122. $45 by 50 naked, so you're not going to get a good credit. But yeah, it's weak. MAA alarm. Oh, nice, up alarm. Nice, nice, nice. Beautiful 15 close yesterday and daily. Let's check the first target. All right, we're up $1.50. 138. Yeah, then we'll stop break even now. And it's under that base. But I'm not selling now because look at the 15-minute. It's igniting a move right now. So I would not sell a third. I want more. So how about just arbitrary? How about 140 spot 50? Well, now give us a $2 gain at least. PNC alarm. Wow. No stop day is low now. Now this one let's sell a third because it's up 4 bars now, nearing that prior high, 47.8. Hmm. Right, just selling a third in the strength here, although that's a beautiful breakout on the 15 and hourly. Still fairly quiet. He ain't got a contract. Yeah, I noticed pre-market, I was gonna say it, but I didn't get around to it. There was only two stocks up or down more than $1, Patrick, and Boeing was one of them. That's quite a move off the lows. Man, $40 move, 2 months. And I think Cat was the other one. It's kind of a sell setup. Neo, this alarm went off earlier today. Uh, it's I think just this, I don't know what set it off. But that's a bullish consolidation. 1, 2, 3, 4 on Neo. Does anybody have a dog named Neo? That sounds like a good dog name. Hasbro alarm. Well, this is the one I said I didn't think it's going to get very far. So, and it already, my up alarm went off and then it got hit. Everything's kind of, yeah, right now, based on this 15-minute breakdown, looks like we're going to drift lower here. IWM was the weakest yesterday. I remember we talked about the hourly was a bearish consolidation. Remember that? So that's what's playing out right now. Yeah, Meta made a big move too. No pattern. Nvidia weakening here. That's a little breakout failure there. Let's see how our three credit spreads are doing. Abgo, we're still in managing, it's fine. Let me check the juice bar, 332. $0.20. So I think we're at our target. Smooth stop under 346. Abgo. Yeah, that's where I have it. Alright, I just let that one play out, got it adjusted. SMH, doing nothing, but that's fine for credit spread. We got the 352. Midpoint is 17 cents. SMH is adjusted already. Microsoft, we got a put spread. It's holding well. Midpoint 21 cents. 484.08. And I have it. Wow, so I got all three of these adjusted perfectly. Ooh, what happened to Max? Microsoft's ripping to the upside. Um, it could it be a dividend, Alex? Because yeah, that does not make sense to me. Agree. It's if just looking at the things, it makes no sense to me. There might be a dividend involved. Tesla, Netflix are down a little bit, but the other ones are up more. So mags should be positive, in my opinion. CNC up alarm. We sold a third, looks good. Eat the up alarm. I have a foot spread on this myself. Watching this for bottoming. Um, yeah, Bitcoin now rallying too. Yeah, they're saying where these things going to consolidate and break down or bottom. These these are patterns we can trade up or down. But as of right now, at 9:52, the bulls are making a little bit of an attempt.
They did a good job at defending IWM. Nothing is down big in Mads.
Right, that's why I said I could it be dividends or something.
More of them are down than up.
Right, that's what I said. The ups should be positive. The
I
ups
mean,
are
Med is the only one that's up like what's up? A little over about 1.5%.
Microsoft's doing good. But yeah, not the most. Google was up, but it's pulling in. All right, so eat the as a put spread idea, 21.50. So I'm gonna see how it closes. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I knew it had to do that. Yeah, that was the only logical explanation. Opens now. It's yeah, yeah, that I like that one better than Hasbro. I think it has a bigger target. Little Embers head and shoulder. It's 9:55, so maybe 30-minute high. Yeah, I think that has a better stop. Yesterday's low is pretty tight. That is a better reward to risk than I think it was Hasbro. Opens here. Our opens are actually dead, which is not good, but what can I do about it? You can see though doing good. Pearl neutral. But I know there's no reason to get out when it's neutral. eBay, we're in a full lot. Looks like a 1, 2, 3 now. It closes like this. We got break even stuff. I think we do. Oh, no, we don't. Let me do that now. 97. Oh, nice recovery of the horseman. Wow. My bias at 9:40 this morning was down. And now they've defended it. eBay. Yeah, Bitcoin's moving here. It just rallied 1,800 points. Yeah, if these things close, this could be the start of the bullish turn. Yeah, that's man, this thing, we bought this thing right there. And look, just dead money the whole time. All right, we bought it at 423. Greg, you want to kill it, break even in 2 pennies, or hold the course?
I assume it's a long.
Yeah, I just said we bought this breakout right here. 423.
Hit the stop. There's nothing wrong with it. It's going
Yeah.
your way now.
Alumina, dead money. MAA, we're in trail mode. Mick, dead money. Odafo, dead money also. We're right at break even right here. We're up 4 pennies. So that's another one you can kill, break even if you wanted to. KC. Yeah, this one's concerning me. I was like triggered yesterday and snapped right back. Pega, dead money. PayPal. So, this is the one that we're short. It's dead money, but it's bearish price action. Bear sign, dead money. Man, I'm not impressed with our inventory. VST, dead money. Please. The only ones moving are eBay, MAA, CNC. The other ones are just spinning their wheels, but that's kind of what the market's doing too. So I guess we can't be too upset. Yeah, so this one I said 30-minute high, so I can tell it hasn't triggered. Set an alarm, Tyson. Well, I'll say it's a penny away from $59, so I'd wait for it to go over 59. Your Tyson busted through 59. Yes, TS, maybe. It needs to simmer down a little low. Pen still looks good. Thomas, a couple here, an email to look at. 13. I'm gonna say sloppy, but good spread. If juice. Lulu. I think this needs to go sideways a little more. BBWI. Let's see, Greg. This one I don't like the 50 just because it's at the unfilled gap also. I got this global entry card. Gets you through the TSA thing. And I reapplied whoa, it's all on here nicely. I reapplied last October. Still don't have my freaking card. So I wrote them an email. It says Apple, and it's kind of a standard copy paste response they gave me. Application processing times varies by applicant, but on average, you can expect the following. I guess I'm JE, I don't know. It says 13 to 14 months. Can any of you on planet Earth explain that to me? I've already had it twice. So all I'm doing is paying 75 bucks and they take a new photo. Why does it take 14 months to get a new card back? I mean, our government, we all know the saying that, you want to screw something up, let the government do it. It's just unconscionable. It should be automated. I mean, automated. Has this guy been arrested? Has he gone to any countries on a forbidden list? It's a rubber stamp. Unbelievable. By the time I get the card back, he'll be ready to renew it again. let's let's say this, in my opinion, the 5 minute up and down is kind of typical of light volume trading. It's like it goes up and they chase it, now it goes down, and you could think it's news, and it's really not. It's just light volume getting tossed around. SLB is holding well up to the gap. CMG, yeah, because you don't have a good price for it, Steve. You still gotta, if you look, so Steve, when you see bars like this, overlapping sideways bars, I was gonna say that next, Greg. When you look at this and we're below it, that's gonna go to a 65-minute chart, and that's gonna be major resistance. And then it's actually a sell setup on the weekly. But here, I didn't see your whole statement. Greater than 50% retrace on weekly with 1, 2, 3. Great. With no. It's a sell. I see what you're at. I understand what you're asking, Steve. I do. But you're thinking it's bullish. But it's a sell setup, and it's two inside bars. We only take 1, 2, 3s from consolidation. So this same 2 bars down here at a weekly is different than it being a 1, 2, 3 at a sell setup. So the weekly is neutral to negative. It's not positive. And the daily and hourly are neutral to negative because of all this overhead resistance. That's my take. we want something where the bias of the bigger time frame is in alignment with the time frame that you're trading. And then we want, uh, we want a void. And this thing doesn't have a void unless it takes out all these highs. But then if it does, you got this unfilled gap to deal with. And that is pretty much going to be the target, I think. All right, cool. And then, there's other concepts too, such as broader market, relative strength, weakness for the sector. So actually, let's compare that to Amazon and Meta, not Meta. Okay, so this is a great comparison. So let's talk about it. This had a gap over a red bar, 100% retracement from this pivot, going sideways. So this is bullish price action at the 20 and 50. And see how this weekly is bullish. It supports this, even though this is not a picture I would trade per se, although, it was a buy setup and a bottoming tail retest of it. It's bullish. It supports it. And now I have a void if it takes out the week's high or whatever all this high is, last week's high, because today's only Tuesday. This is my first target because all of this bottoming action suggests that it will get through this and then maybe go up to even, this is fluid. So now I have a bigger void here. So my target will be 240 to 245, but it has to take out last week's high. And then here's another one. Let's compare. Going sideways after a deep retracement above the 20. Now, does this have a good price void? Well, good question. That's resistance and that's resistance. Yes. And then here's your void. But this consolidation at resistance is the weekly bullish, neutral, or bearish. It's bullish. Well, I take that back. It's bullish for a bounce. So let's call it neutral. But I'm trading the daily, so this will improve. This will improve if this breaks out. So Amazon is better. Amazon's better than this, but if the Qs and the mags were going to start firing on all cylinders and this takes out all these highs, then the idea was target 500 to 510. If the daily formed in an uptrend, well, but Greg, that's not a no-brainer to me. It has two higher pivot highs and higher pivot lows from this bottoming pattern. So why is that not in an uptrend?
Got to put the whole statement together. It doesn't have multiple time frame alignment.
No, correct. Correct. But that's the word and. All right, so what trend is the daily in? That's what I'm asking.
Well, it's got higher pivot highs and higher pivot lows. It's starting to, but has it retraced enough? Maybe it has to call it at least sideways. Let me see. I don't have my fib thing set up. Sam messed it up on me.
I think the daily's up, weekly's down, monthly's down.
Be in the trend section, Steve. Is this
And
thing?
Steve, also, email support, and we'll try to, or email me. And I'll try to dig up a former MT Live on it for you. Because we do them all the time. Oh, Steve, I think I just did one for Trader's Corner. On bottoming. Yeah, I just did one. So email me, Dan at Master Trader, and I'll send you that recording from Trader's Library I did a couple of weeks ago.
You could use a general, not general, clearly defined. If you've got 3 pivot lows and something that's been in a downtrend, it's formed major support. So that's bottoming. You just apply pivots. Once it's a pivot, you have a pivot, it forms support. 2 pivots, retest and reversal. 3rd pivot, major support. Of course, it's applicable to any time frame you're looking at. That's, when you start talking multiple time frames and are they aligned or not, that's where the odds are in your favor. So what I was pointing to is this pattern right here, this part of the pattern on CMG is bullish, but it's in a downtrend. It hasn't even retraced 80%. I mean, that's a gap. So even if you started drawing trend lines, you could, however you want to define it. This is in a downtrend and it's retraced into this void. This part of the pattern is bullish. So my point being, if this was in an uptrend and the weekly wasn't in a downtrend, this type of a pattern, the more things that you have aligned, you could have, even in a bullish trend, you could have some part of that that's bearish, meaning it's a rounding top or it had a breakout failure or it's got a red bar. And so one minor part of a bearish picture within a larger bullish picture, right? Something's in an uptrend, you assume it's going to make a higher high. When you buy a pullback, your thought is that it's going to make a higher high because it's in an uptrend. And if you have multiple time frame alignment, and look at the weekly here. So you've got this, positive or bullish, this section of a bullish pattern here, and you've got the weekly up against minor resistance. Doesn't make sense. Downtrend. This is trying to transition from a downtrend. Oh, that wouldn't make sense to go along that. It is a sell on a weekly. Maybe this is a pattern that sometime this year, if there was, some kind of retracement or sideways price action moving away from this resistance and this downtrend, it might be in a transitionary stock. This was like a huge winner for years. Look at that chart. I mean, people couldn't get enough of rice and beans. I don't know what happened over here, but it got killed. It's in a major support area. So some kind of sideways or retest, maybe this is a buy sometime in 2026. And look at it, it collapsed. That looks like an exhaustion move on earnings. That E is on its earnings.